One thing that's been interesting to me as I've been working on this course with Craig is that every little story now about disease really catches my eye because I'm thinking about it a lot. I'm sure that's true for all of you. Anyway, I wanted to get Craig here today to get him to talk about this this new mosquito-borne virus. I say new. You'll learn from him it's not new at all, but that's sweeping across Latin America and having amazing effects there. We wanted to talk a little bit about that and see if we can get our hands on a little bit better with our microbiologist here, and then talk a little bit about maybe what this means in terms of how it might affect the history of the region. Craig, tell us about this virus. What's the story on it?
Well, the Chikungunya virus, hope I'm saying that right, from Africa. We've known about this virus for a long time in the medical community. It was discovered in the early 1950s along the border of Tanzania and Mozambique. We know about its symptoms. We know that it's mosquito-borne. There's even been enough study on it to know that, or to suspect that it entered the human population about 1700 as a result of going from one host to another. But the interesting aspect of this, because it's been endemic in these areas in Africa and eventually moved to some areas in Asia, is that it just made a huge leap into the Americas. The first case of this disease was reported in the Caribbean in 2013, and in the last year it's gone from just a few cases noticed to really several 100,000 cases that have been reported. And so this virus, although the fatality rate's fairly low, has some really debilitating symptoms. A small portion of the population who gets this has a long-term joint and pain and is debilitated to the point it's difficult to walk and function normally. Everybody who gets it gets a couple of weeks of severe fever, headache, and really almost requiring hospitalization. The other interesting thing about this virus is that it's an RNA virus. So many of the more interesting, or at least the viruses that we know about that create big epidemics like HIV and Ebola that's been in the news are RNA viruses. What makes RNA viruses so interesting or unique is the fact that they mutate much more rapidly than a DNA virus. This mutation rate can be 100 times faster, and so this virus, as it's in the population, particularly in a new population, can begin to mutate. We can select out for mutant forms that may have a higher fatality rate, different symptoms. But the thing that really worries folks in the United States is that this virus can mutate, and it's found in several mosquito hosts, but could mutate and get into a mosquito host that's not very common to it now, but is commonly found throughout a lot of the United States. So everybody's on red alert in the United States. We've had a few cases because we have the one particular mosquito here that carries it, but if it mutates to get into another mosquito host, we could see an explosion of cases in the United States in the next year.
Craig, you mentioned that it reminds you a bit of polio. Would you explain what you were thinking when you said that?
Well, polio is an interesting virus. The majority of people, 90% who get it, they're ill. They have flu-like symptoms for a couple of weeks. But a smaller portion, the virus has the capacity to move to other parts of the body, causing severe reactions. About 3 to 5% of the people who get polio have paralysis that could be lifelong and life-threatening. And this virus is somewhat the same. Most people recover in a couple of weeks after being severely ill, but a small portion of the population continue to have this virus causing, just really debilitating problems, creating, I think, for the health profession some problems. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I mean, as we tried in this course to kind of get things out of just the realm of epidemiology into the realms of what's happening to the societies in which these diseases emerge. What we're seeing in Latin America right now, as you can imagine, without even looking into it very deeply, is that these cases, as they become in the tens and hundreds of thousands, are severely taxing medical facilities that are already not very good, if we may use a value judgment. And beyond just that problem, people losing untold hours of work, and other folks having to care for these people. So this is already having an immensely deleterious effect on these communities where this thing is just rampant. And as Craig points out, certainly the fear that this could become even more widespread as this virus, I suppose, has the ability to mutate, as Craig has told us. This becomes quite frightening. I don't think there's time for everybody to run around like Chicken Little and the sky's falling. But certainly, as we've learned in this course, the effect of these kinds of epidemics can be rather far-reaching and rather severe. I think we're seeing that already in these countries.
Yeah, I think that, just two other points. One is that the United States has taken this disease pretty seriously. At NIH, they're already working on an experimental vaccine, so there must be a feeling among the public health community that this virus could become really a problem in the United States. But also, these are our trading partners and people that we have close associations with. There's a lot of ebb and flow of populations, so this could be really a critical piece in protecting populations against this infection. The other thing I wanted to mention is you read about the Americas in the 1500s and how rapidly measles and smallpox moved through populations, and you don't have to look any farther than just to look on the CDC's website or the World Health Organization's website to follow this epidemic to just see how rapidly a pathogen can move through a population that has no immunity. So in Africa, they've lived with this probably for 300 plus years. They've kind of selected out for just a general form of immunity, but not here in the Americas. Nobody's immune to this, and you can see by the explosion of cases. I think this is just a modern day example of what transpired so many times in populations throughout history.
So we're watching history.
We're watching history right now.
Watching it. As we did with the Ebola virus a while back, we'd love to hear from you about this. We're going to put this into the course by the History Mystery, so you'll all have an opportunity, if you'd like, to chime in with what you've read and what you know, and what you think may be unfolding here. Let's not forget the political consequences as well. These countries, many of them, are very, very tenuously organized, to say the least. Governments that are weak, governments that are constantly under threat, some of them dictatorial, some of them backward, some of them are going to have a very, very difficult time as this disease inevitably destabilizes those countries. So that's a big worry too. Not only the social and cultural and economic consequences of an outbreak like this, but in our world, the political consequence could be severe.
Yeah, I concur. It's not often when you're teaching a history course and you get to watch that same history unfold before you.